Games used to bring us good times, happiness, and joy, but now most of them want to scare the living crap out of us. So here are 5 of the scariest games. Number 5, Project Zero, or Fatal Frame, as it was known outside of Europe. While it isn't the best known franchise in the world, it's certainly one of the scariest videos ever conceived. Impressive considering that games in the series have more in common with Pokemon than they do with the likes of, say, Resident Evil. The premise of the first game was that you played a photographer, armed with a special camera, capable of exhuming spirits, a feature that carries over in the sequel, subtitled Crimson Butterfly. And though Fatal Frame certainly made for one disturbing, scary experience, it was Fatal Frame 2 that really pushed the boat out. And by push the boat out, we mean scared the living crap out of absolutely everyone who played it. The game contains creepy twin sisters, and not to mention a variety of ghosts and spirits. While using just a camera to fight them away, the game thrived when you got up close and personal, and continually succeeded in making you scream. Number 4, Resident Evil 4. Whilst other franchises seem to be moving onwards and upwards, embracing new gameplay methods and innovations, the Resident Evil franchise stuck to what it began with. That was until Resident Evil 4, of course, which has switched up the formula established in previous games, making room for a fresh and fast-paced entry that brought the game series back to life, whilst paying respect to its origins. It also happens to be one of the most terrifying games ever released. Good job, Capcom. Resident Evil 4 clings to a plot featuring Resident Evil 2's unlikely hero, Leon S. Kennedy, who now is working for the US government and is sent into some filthy, undisclosed corner of Eastern Europe to rescue the president's daughter, who is being captured by a mysterious group. Cue an endless horde of infected enemies bent on making Leon's mission a trip to hell. The sound of revving chainsaws have never been so less appreciated, as Resident Evil 4 managed to somehow remain endlessly scary whilst moving at a frantic pace. Number 3, Slender, the 8 Pages. Slender, the 8 Pages is one of the wider known indie titles on this list, and despite the fact that it's fairly basic, it ranks as one of the most terrifying games ever made. What is it? What is it that makes this idea of this thin man so downright terrifying? There's something inherently creepy about the idea of such a man coming after you, trying to catch you. It's the concept that drives Slender the 8 Pages, as you're left in the woods to find clues whilst being pursued by such a thing. As you attempt to find the 8 pages of the game, the Slenderman gets closer and closer to you, appearing around corners at random, emerging behind you, and generally doing awful, awful things. It's sure to launch your stomach up where your mouth should be. It's such a simple idea, and yet the atmosphere inherent to the game and creepy design of the Slenderman himself ensures that this one is one of the most uncomfortable games you will ever play. At about 30 minutes, it's short, but you wouldn't want any more time than that, would you? Number 2, Outlast. Outlast isn't the best reviewed game on this list. It was met with mostly warm, but not fantastic critical appraisal upon release. Still, it's an exercise in terror, quite frankly horrifying in all the ways that a true horror game should be. Partially inspired by the visual aesthetics in the film Jacob's Ladder, Outlast has you as Miles Upshur, a freelance journalist who wants to investigate a mental asylum and has the only ability to video stuff and run away. Did we mention that the environment is immersed mostly in darkness, and that you have to view everything through a night vision camera? And that said camera often runs out of batteries because the people who designed this game really wanted you to suffer. And there's the fact that Outlast is packed to the brim with those little tricks that horror games lovingly like to employ, such as lights shutting off at random, unseen things running around in the darkness, and that's just the beginning. Number 1, Amnesia, The Dark Descent. Lots of people might not be all that familiar with Amnesia, given that's not a part of a particularly large or well-known flagship franchise, but amongst those who thrive on the thrill of a scary game, it's considered to be pretty much legendary. That's to say, Amnesia is often thought to be one of the most frightening games ever made, and rightly so. The plot, simple on the surface but incredibly dense and complex in actuality, concerns Daniel, a prisoner who awakens in a strange Persian castle with, you guessed it, Amnesia. The crux of this game is that something is hunting you down, and it's up to Daniel to assemble the clues and figure out just what is happening to him. As mentioned previously, atmosphere is the most important aspect when crafting a scary game. Scary stuff can happen in any game, but if the atmosphere is wrong, it's not going to leave a lasting impression. But Amnesia absolutely nails it on the world, rendering a grim, stomach-churning environment and filling it with instances of pure psychological terror and super disturbing monsters. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that top 5. As you noticed, or may not have noticed, I'm recording a little bit differently here. My normal mic I record with kind of just decided to not work, and so if you like this video, remember to hit that like button to let me know, and subscribe to support the channel, and as always, thank you so much for watching.